You're now listening to episode 47 of Let's Go Comic Show. On this episode, we talk about Marvel Fresh Start, Shazam, listener questions, and of course, we're going to smell all them flowers. This is episode 47 of the Let's Go Comic Show. My name is Justin.
And I'm Matt.
All right, dude. So
welcome back, sir.
Welcome back. I am really excited to be recording with you today, buddy. Got some comic news to talk about.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks.
Yeah, we didn't really get to talk about some of it last week because we did our special Black Panther film review with Fredo and DeLon. That was fun. And
go back and listen to episode 46.
Yeah. Hey, go back and watch Black Panther again because it was really good. And then go back and listen to episode 46.
Visit Wakanda as often as possible. That's what I say.
So check out episode number 46 so you can listen to that over and over and over and just, bask in the glow of our voices. So anyways, you're listening to the Let's Go Comic Show. We talk about comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows, everything in the world of comics.
That's right.
Except for like Jerry Seinfeld. Won't be talking about him.
No.
No Jerry Seinfeld. Why? Why don't you talk about me? He did have a Superman magnet on his refrigerator for 8 years.
I know we talked about that. I feel
Did
like
we?
when his special came out on Netflix.
Oh,
I
that's
never
right.
watched it, but we talked about it.
It was like whatever. It was it was funny in the sense that those are interesting observations, Jerry Seinfeld. But was it like, oh my gosh, I'm glad I watched that? No, it was not. It wasn't that great. Anyways,
well, and speaking of opinions,
how
great we think things are.
Yeah,
that's the other part of what we do.
Yeah, we rate them.
Comics.
Yeah, so based on a scientific scale on the Let's Go Comic Show, we go if it's just absolute best. We said that's a gotta go. That's better than the show. That's better than the name of the show. It's a gotta go. And then we go to...
It tells you what we think of our own show.
There you go. Our show, it's a Let's Go. It's Let's Go. So if we think it's really good, you should check out It's a Let's Go. Hey, man, it's a Let's Go. You got to go do that. Now, if it's just okay, yeah, it's a go. Go check it out. But if you need to maybe borrow it from a friend or somehow get your hands on it in a way that I'm not going to judge you on, it's a go. And then if it's complete garbage, why did you even buy that? Don't listen to it. Don't watch it. It's trash juice, right? Matt's a psych. We try to stay away. Very rarely do we get into our own trash juice.
Indeed.
But so there we are. So okay, so let's just jump into some news. One of the first things I wanted to talk about was, and Matt has not seen this, is someone snuck a little peek of the Shazam costume.
From the film.
From the Shazam from the Shazam
Shazam
film by David F. Sandberg. And you get a little look of Zachary Levi from the back. It's not in the front. And you see his costume. And people are all up in arms and this is somebody took it from a set. And it's yeah, I saw it. Warner Brothers should have kind of had something ready to go. Because once you start filming in a public place, you don't want that to be the first version. Now, it didn't look like a terrible costume. It didn't look like this is garbage. But it's always best to beat.
Did it look like Captain Marvel? I mean, Shazam?
Yeah, it did.
Like a red costume with
he wasn't wearing a green costume. It wasn't all weird. People weren't losing their minds. But, it was good. It was Shazam. White cape, red outfit.
Yeah, and I just try,
boots.
Justin and I were talking about, I try to stay away from set photos, especially when we haven't had any official photos.
Yeah.
So I feel like it doesn't really give the actor and the costume a fair shake,
Yeah. No, you're totally right. What happens is, I remember when Dark Knight Rises and things like that came out, Warner Brothers was all right, we're going to give you the first look at Catwoman, because they were filming outside with her on a bat pod.
Right.
We don't want this little kid down the street with this Nokia flip phone shooting pictures and being hey, this is what Catwoman looks like. So they want to do it up with their lighting and everything. And so, that's how you want to experience it first. But I didn't care too much. I saw it, made my opinion. I'm it's okay.
There you go. Everyone
lost their minds. I'm it's Shazam, dude. So I won't get into too much about the costume because I don't want to spoil it for you. But
sounds like we'll probably see it
probably very soon. I imagine it WonderCon or something. They're going to start having their media blitz.
Is Emerald City, is that this weekend?
I don't know.
I feel like we're just getting into that kind of season.
Yeah, WonderCon's in 3 weeks. Emerald City, it might be. So Emerald City is the big one in Seattle. So that's a good one. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, but avoid it. But it's out there. If you don't want to see it, hopefully by the end of the weekend, Warner Brothers put something out there, because I know even the director, he was just like, I got no control on that. Like, that's not what I want you to see. But when you start shooting in public places,
he's just focused on making the movie, man.
Yeah, but he's a fun guy to follow. Follow David Sandberg on Instagram and Twitter, because he does funny stuff. Okay, so next stuff, jumping into news, dude. So you want to talk about this Marvel, what's it called again? Marvel
Fresh Start.
That just sounds bad. Marvel's Fresh Start. It almost sounds like some type of like a lady cream.
Well, it's like too like literal. Lady cream.
It's
I don't even want to know.
Oh man, Marvel's Fresh Start. Like, what? Why? What a terrible name. Hey, it's a terrible name for initiative. Like,
well, I think there's a few factors, right? It's always like, this is how my brain works, right? Like to separate it out in a few things. I think there's the like practical, like logistical side of why it's happening. You have a new editor-in-chief. Mm-hmm. You're missing, you lost like one of your biggest talents to the rival publisher. I think you just see like some of those moves, and I'd imagine like they're probably like, oh crap, we got to like circle the wagons and really figure something out real quick. And then I think there's the aspect where you got to think of how this affects clarity for fans and for people that want to buy the books. Because I think that's where it's a really big misstep to relaunch and renumber comic book stories again.
Yeah. Well, they're doubling down. They're doing, on certain titles, they said it hasn't.
They're
all been
keeping
super
legacy
clear.
Numbering.
Yeah.
And starting back at number 1.
Let's say they've done that before.
Which it's been what, 5 months, 6 months?
Yeah.
Since Legacy.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long.
I remember they did that with freaking Amazing Spider-Man when they started at number 1 with J. Michael Straczynski back in like, I think it was the late 90s, early 2000s. They started over with number 1, but they still had the original numbering like smaller. So you still kind of knew where you were, but...
And here's why numbering matters. Because I think some people would probably ask, like, if you're not already a comic book person, like, what's the big deal with numbering, right?
Yeah.
But I think it gives you your bearings, not because you always come in at a part of the story where it's the beginning of the story, but you at least have an idea of how far along are you coming into this, and where do you fall in line with this ongoing story. Yeah. And I think Marvel has seemed to just really fall in this weird middle ground to where you have actually quite a few books, I feel like now, these creators have a story to tell. Yeah. They have a beginning, middle, and end. You have Mr. Miracle is going to be 12 issues. You have Batman White Knight is what, like 8 issues, something like that. Yeah. And so you have these things. It's a not definitive. It's a finite number. Like, it's like, this is what it's going to be. Or you have ongoing ones where it's like, it hasn't been perfect, obviously, but it's not like they haven't done their own thing. But you have like Action Comics, Detective Comics, where you get an idea of like, man, this is something that's been going for a long time. Marvel, like, it seems like they can't commit to like just letting someone tell a story and let that book be done. Yeah. Or commit to like something being ongoing for years on end. Does that make sense? Like,
it's really confusing. Is all it is. Like, it's confusing.
We're people that like follow it and like go to a shop every week, and even for us, that's going to be like, wait, where was I again?
Remember,
what did I miss?
Like a month back, we were at the shop with Fredo, and we were talking about Black Panther, and he's like, "Oh man," because he wanted to jump on. He's like, "Oh dude, like it's at 170 something." He's like, "Do I got to read all those?" And we're like, "Nah, just jump in." Like maybe 4 issues ago or whenever the latest storyline started, and so he bought, was it World of Wakanda? Yeah, which was at like 2, but. I think if you explain it, if you're a good shop and you go, oh no, you don't gotta go there.
Oh, no, like, Rise of the Black Panther.
Rise of the Black Panther. That's what he got. But regardless of that, if a good shop is there, they can help you. I think there's something cool about being able to go back. Because I remember when the New 52 started, we had a buddy who was like really into the idea of Green Lantern because of the movie coming out. He was like pumped, so he wanted to read all these graphic novels. Then once New 52 happened, he's like, wait. So does this stuff not matter anymore? And we're like, I don't know, because they didn't really communicate.
Well, I feel like
well.
that word choice is what gets you in trouble. Like, does it matter? Like, that's up to you if something matters. Like, those stories are still there. Someone still wrote them. They were still published. Now,
yeah, but does it connect?
Do they have bearing? Do they have connection to
Yeah.
the current story? I think that's the question you ask.
We still don't know.
Because we try to assign,
FYI.
well, we try to like assign this value to it. Do you know what I mean? And say like, is this still valuable? Is it not? And I'm like, man, that's dependent on who's reading it. Like whether it has value. But I think then you can separate that out and have a better conversation of, is it helpful? Because I would say like the legacy numbering that Marvel did 5 months ago, I kind of get what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
At least I understand it, even if I didn't like it. And it was mildly confusing. But then I'm like, dude, this just like makes it way worse.
Yeah.
Like you're taking something because we give DC a hard time all the time, right? Like New 52 and then Rebirth, and it's like, man, you guys are just starting everything over, and you're taking your word back, and you're fixing stuff that should have been fixed years ago. But man, you got on one end, you got to kind of give them props for sticking with it for 5 years for the most part. Like Marvel did 5 months on this one.
Oh yeah.
And again, like I'm not gonna always say like DC's doing stuff better than Marvel because that's not always the case. But I think in this case, it's really interesting to me to see that. Because people can listen to us talk about it and kind of get lost in like nerds always talk about like numbering of issues and stuff like that. But I'm like, but there's a reason like that actually matters. And I feel like it doesn't matter to Marvel.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. When they do release a new number one, they get a whole bunch of orders and they get a huge influx of cash. Yeah. And then, hopefully the stores sell them and move them, and that's, I don't think they see the long goal, the end game on it. Like, man, just create a very like consistent line of comics, and they just don't, man. It's just they just throw stuff at the wall, which is okay to throw stuff at the wall at times. But there's some things like make a Captain America book and have a good team on it, tell a good story,
which they're doing. That's what I'm like, there you man,
go. And that's what you're doing.
It's kind of a bummer to talk. Like we can talk about that because that's something.
Jump into that.
That's a casualty in one way of Marvel Legacy coming to an end. Like you have Wade and Samney on the current Captain America book, which is freaking awesome. That's going to get to 700. And so it really feels like, man, you just used someone. Like you used us. You used the book, like in a way to get to that 700 number. Do you know what I mean? Like,
did they? I mean,
it didn't feel like it was earned.
It's
like,
funny,
hey,
they
we're
love their number ones and they love
one.
their like 75s and 50s and 100s and 700s and so on. So they like getting to those. I think,
and DC did the same thing for Action and Detective.
Yeah, they did.
Like
they definitely did. Like let's go back to those numbers. But they are going to restart their Superman with number one. Which
That's
is
very true.
I wish they would just jump into.
But anyways, let's talk about Captain America. So apparently, like this creative team that's currently on it, done with 700.
Yeah,
and then from there, you're gonna have a new number one. And the interesting thing
is it a new number one or
is
it
come out today?
We don't know.
News coming out today. Probably. Like I thought it said it was number one, but it could be. Maybe it's one of those ones that's going to be 701 or 1. But Captain America being written by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah.
Which is
that's awesome.
Pretty significant, man.
Yeah.
And he's bringing some pretty good like heavy hitters art-wise with him as well.
Yeah, so
Alex Ross covers.
Yeah,
which
cool.
is like that's kind of crazy, man, because for those that aren't familiar, Alex Ross, like when he does something, he doesn't do it. I mean, he does a lot of stuff, but when you think of like doesn't do covers.
Stuff. Yeah,
he does when he does something. I was thinking about this earlier. Like, what do I think of when I think of Alex Ross? I think if he's doing something, it's iconic. That's why he's doing it, and that's how he's going to do it.
Well, I think he primarily does covers, but I think he does it for stuff that's like
he does it for very specific.
He's
things.
particular. Like I remember in the '90s, he did not like the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern, and he only painted him one time.
Oh wow!
He was very adamant. I do the true versions of these characters.
And that's one thing to notice about Alex Ross too, is that he's still like, he's painting stuff.
Yeah.
Which again, like, not that makes it any better than what people are doing digitally. But man, that's a pretty big deal to have him on covers for a book. But then you have Lionel Yu doing interiors. And what's he been known for in the past? Like, as far as
I know
activities?
he did, well, you said Civil War 2 we were talking about earlier, but I know
he co-created some Mark Miller stuff, right?
I don't know, but I know he did Birthright. He did Superman Birthright.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, was that Mark Waid who did that?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, which that was one of my favorite Superman origin stories.
It's a good one.
That's a really good one. So He's
he
just a really good
co-created
artist.
Superior and Nemesis.
Okay.
I think with Mark Miller.
There you go.
Which
he's got some Mark Miller
That's
money.
pretty significant too.
Go.
Like,
love him or hate him, Mark Miller making stuff.
So if you have the chance, check out. Maybe we could post a link in the show notes potentially.
Yeah.
But Ta-Nehisi Coates writes for The Atlantic. Wrote an article about why he's writing Captain America, and I thought it was really great.
Yeah.
And really, it seems like the main thrust of it is like, I don't know, and I'm scared of whether I can do a good Captain America story or not.
Yeah.
Which is why I want to try.
Heck yeah.
Which I'm like, that makes me excited to check out what it's going to be.
I'm glad that Marvel's letting him take a crack. Like, it's almost like, no duh. Like, if I wonder if they offered it to him or if he petitioned for it. If he was like, let me try this.
I think in the article he mentioned that the new editor-in-chief like brought it up
Maybe I
to him,
should
which I think what's significant about that, just as a side note, is a lot of times like we really want to it's celebrated, and rightly so, when black writers write black characters, like when women are able to write women, like, because you know what I mean, like you have a voice that some people can still write, but it's going to be, you know, a different kind of take on it. And he mentions in the article like how special it is and how rare it is, like for black writers to then be able to not just write black characters, but to be able to write other characters.
Christopher Priest said that same thing though. He almost took offense to it. He's like, now DC wants to offer me all these black characters.
Yep.
I
was going to say, I read that same article because he was like, I specifically wrote like my whole Black Panther run was through the eyes of like a white character.
Yeah.
He's like, and I thought I wrote it really well.
Yeah. But he was just saying like, I'm a writer. I can write whatever. I can write a lady. I can write a man. I can write Batman. I can write Deadpool. I can write whatever. And so, you know, I think we're just kind of in a point of time where we're trying to, you know, give voices to people, which is great. But I think we need to. I think it's more honoring to a writer, like, hey, you can write whatever. You know, you know, like to say like you can only
and
write.
To open that up for like a pitch of like, hey, we would love to have you. You know what I mean? Like how
only murderers can write stories about murderers. Did you know that?
Yeah, dude.
Like
I've literally had this conversation this week about other stuff where. Oh yeah, no, it was with my brother. Like just because he's single, and it's just this idea of like what single people are able to do versus married people, and just this view that people have, like, well, you know, to be able to talk to married people, like it helps if you're married or have kids. Or and he's like, what? That's stupid. Like, so if you have like you have to like be a dog owner to have an opinion about dog. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's just the logic doesn't stand up when you apply it across the board. Yeah. And I wonder, like in the case of like Christopher Priest, like. I was really bummed to hear like that's how he was approached instead of like, you're an amazing writer. Yeah. Would you come write for us? What would you like to write? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like how, like, do you have a pitch for us? Like, I feel like that's like how the business works for probably all of the white writers. Like if we're going to be honest, it's going to be like, hey, we want you to write for us. Do you have a pitch? Instead of like, hey, we really think you should write this character. Yeah. Like, hey, you're a teenager. Can you write our teenage characters? Like what? No.
No, let's get Mark Waid to write them. Mark Waid, can you write?
Bad example.
Champions?
That example on my part. Oh man.
All right. So
all that said, I'm absolutely getting that first issue.
Yeah. The only thing is, I feel like does Ta-Nehisi Coates, does he need a new #1, or is his name big enough for me to buy 701? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Do we always have to reset? Like,
no, I don't think so.
Not everyone needs a new #1. And I'm not trying to take it away
I
from
think
him.
you can start an initiative without starting a new number.
It was like when Grant Morrison came on Batman back, you know, in the early 2000s. Yes. Did they restart it? No. But Grant Morrison's one of the biggest writers in the world. It was like, oh, I'm going to start reading Batman because Grant Morrison's on it. Like, that's a big deal.
Yeah. And like I said, like, I really do think, like, we almost need to change our mindset and how we direct people toward comics, but also, like, what the view is even within the comic community of, like, oh, well, I have to start at the beginning for everything. Like, you don't. Like, the whole point, like, for decades, that was not the way you read comics. Mm. You got the book that was on the shelf in the grocery store or in the spinner rack, you know what I mean? And you just kind of went with it. Like, you went through, like, what do I know? What do I not know? And then you kind of expand from there. And I think there's something valuable to that it just seems like publishers are really afraid of at this point. Like, they're so scared to, like, lose momentum on sales. That has to be like what it is.
No, they want that initial kick of the number one, and then they go back into that's because you know what Marvel does it. Man. They do it like every 6 months. When you binge watch a TV show, oh man, there's like my wife right now. We're just talking about this. She's gonna start watching Friends again. There's like 10 seasons of that. She's not gonna go. Well, I'm gonna wait for them to reboot Friends. That's when I'll catch up. No, she's gonna watch the whole thing. Some people, it's nice to be able to go back. Like, oh
and
man, I really been digging
this. Jump in at any given moment. And of course, there's overarching like story arcs.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, like I really think like comic book writers and artists should be doing a good enough job for the most part, unless it's like a miniseries like contained like specific story. If it's an ongoing character story, you should be writing that issue well enough.
Yeah, write a good story.
that I will enjoy that issue whether I've read the one before it or not.
I remember as a kid buying the Flash comic book, and I was lost out of my mind because where is Barry Allen? I had no idea. It was Wally West. And I'm like, what? Isn't that the Kid Flash? And I'm coming in because I'm a fan of like these characters. I was a kid though. I didn't know. And the TV show was on and I was like, it's Barry Allen. Why is Flash this? So you know what I did? Kept buying the Flash and figuring it out. And then I bought back issues. Yeah. And I ended up like going back and getting more of the issues that filled in. And I got what, oh dang, Flash died. What? I didn't know what cried.
And that was before like trades were even a thing, and now I'm like, it's so accessible to where if you want to know more,
you can go back.
There's so much you can have really easy, reasonably priced access to. It's funny. I think the same thing for me. Like when I was getting comics, I just kind of got whatever stuff was like kind of caught my eye and I thought was cool, or had characters that I knew I already liked.
Psylocke.
So I already, dude. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Like I did. I probably still have a few of those issues. Her character still makes no sense to me, but I was all.
Oh, we need to go back to the what was it called? The box that you had, remember?
Yes, the frozen fish box. We still, we've never done it.
We never did.
We've talked about doing it.
Oh, we need to do it.
This would have been a good week to do that.
Yeah, we could in the fish box.
No, but that's one of them. But I'm thinking of an issue specifically. I can't even tell you the number, but I believe it's Amazing Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And it was when he was in the black suit. Yeah. And it's him fighting Sabretooth on the front cover. And I was way into X-Men. And so I was like, hold on. He's in the black suit and he's fighting Sabretooth? Yeah, I'm going to get that. Like,
yeah, why not? And, like, why and it's a foil cover?
And I don't care that I don't have the other parts of the story. I don't know what happened before. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so I think there's just this... I know we kind of gotten off track like on a tangent.
No, but right.
There's this part of reading comics that the reader has to take responsibility for too, and the expectations and stuff that we're bringing in. So we need to expect good things and solid writing from people that they're actually going to try and not string me along and pad out an entire 20 whatever pages. So I think that's a fair expectation to have of them. But then our expectation needs to be like, I'm just going to jump in and see if this is like interesting.
Yeah. Marvel, here's what I want you to do. Stop doing Marvel Fresh Start, Marvel Fresh Start Now, Marvel Legacy, all this stuff. All new Fresh Start. Just
probably what it's going to be.
Marvel Comics. We're making comics. Buy our comics, make good comics. Make Captain America, make Daredevil, make Spider-Man, make X-Men, make Deadpool. And that's
X-Men,
it.
X-Men, blue, gold, red, yellow.
Exactly. Why is there so many X-Men books? Make one X-Men book and make it awesome.
There's so many characters. I don't think they need to just make
5 X-Men books.
They don't need like X-Men. 6 or 7, whatever it is.
Do X-Men, do X-Force, do X-Factor. Keep it simple. You don't have to do...
And not every character has to be in every book.
Yeah, dude. And hey, guess what? Not all the X-Men are awesome. Kill them off. Go to the core. Go to the ones that are cool that we like.
Oh, you're back in like House of M, like kind of...
Maybe. Dude, bring Scarlet Witch back. Have her take care of some business, dude. But, give us the stuff that we want. Give us some stuff that's new and good. I'm not saying don't make new characters. What I'm saying is, like, come on, dude. There's some fat to be trimmed. Yeah. Give us the stuff people like.
Yeah. It feels like a cheap accessibility. Like, sure, it's more accessible because we're doing number 1. I'm like, but that's cheap and it's short lived. Like, it's not. That's not helpful.
It is definitely not. Because then guess what? Someone gets invested and they cancel it. Oh well, no one bought it. There's only 4 issues. Thanks, man. I'm really glad I bought this comic book. It's like that Character America. A lot of people like it. It's kind of got a little bit of like public steam because what was that actress's name from
Brooklyn
Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
Yeah, like she cosplayed on it and was like, oh, dang, dude. Like there was some heat there.
Yeah.
Like they could jump on that, but no, we're going to cancel it because, not enough people are buying it or ordering it or whatever. Like maybe try to jump on that heat. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
like, come on, Marvel.
It's weird, man. I don't know. So
Marvel.
To talk about some of the other books.
Yeah.
Some of it just makes sense. It's like we just had this Thor movie. They're bringing it back.
Thor.
Odin's son is Thor. He has a
gold arm
and a gold hammer. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Did his arm get cut off? No.
Yeah, that was been a while ago.
Really?
He's had a metal arm for a little while.
Okay.
And then we have a book that's Ant-Man and the Wasp, written by Mark Waid.
Just a miniseries, right? It's coming out.
Is it a miniseries?
Yeah.
Okay. But like obviously just in time, like it's coming out a month or two before the movie this summer.
Yeah. Which
Does
doesn't
that make
matter because
sense?
no one goes and buys the comics after the movie. So,
but it makes sense.
matter.
Like it's always those things of like, what movies
Yeah.
do we have coming out this summer?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we should probably have the book there. So it at least makes sense. I'm mildly curious because I feel like those characters seem like a good fit for Wade.
fair enough.
Black Panther seems like one that it would have made sense to start a different Black Panther book, like end the Black Panther book and give it a new title.
No.
If you're going to have a new story, because this is the one where it makes sense to me. I'm going to make a case for it.
Make a case because I don't believe
because of what this story supposedly is with, like you're basically taking it into space, you're taking it into multiverse, you're seeing other dimensions. I think you're taking a new direction, and if you're gonna start with a number one, change what the name of it is or something. Make it a specific story. Like commit to one side or the other of like, is this ongoing Black Panther narrative or is this like a contained story that you want to kick off? Because I think that the idea for the story is really interesting to me, and again, I actually would really like to check it out. Like I've been trying to think this week, like are there books that I've been getting that I've just been getting to get?
Yeah.
And I can maybe put those to the side to make some space for some of these, because as annoyed as I am that they're doing this initiative, some of these teams and ideas for the books actually sound pretty interesting.
And there you go. Get good teams on the books and we'll buy them.
Yeah.
I will follow a great creator team. It doesn't matter what number it is. It really doesn't.
Yes.
I jumped on Punisher because I was like, this sounds like a cool idea. And it's like Punisher,
Number
like
whatever
one,
it is.
whatever. Like, I know how to look at numbers and I know how to grab a number from a stack and go, that's one, whatever. I can do that. Like, it's not hard for me. So it's stupid. Okay. So we were talking about this Immortal Hulk again with the Alex Ross covers. So that's cool. So Alex Ross.
Oh, is that Alex Ross covers as well?
He's doing the covers for that as well.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he's doing all the covers, but
yeah,
it
I
looks
just
like
saw
he's
like a
doing that
little
first
like
cover.
1-page thing for it.
Yeah.
And it seems it feels like a very like pulpy like horror kind of vibe to it, which I think is a really interesting take for the Hulk that feels different than what they've done, because what they've done
Well, they did before.
The past few, but what has been the past few years though, right?
Yeah.
With Amadeus Cho, the Totally Awesome Hulk, has been this really fun, high adventure, you know what I mean, kind of exciting Hulk story.
Is he still going to be the Hulk too?
I don't know, man. But I think this idea of the Immortal Hulk of like going back to, because it was this way at some point, right? That the Hulk only came out at night.
It was in. It was.
I feel like that was a thing.
It
in
was
the past.
the Gray Hulk, I think.
Oh, okay.
When he was Gray Hulk, I thought at nighttime he would change to gray.
So the idea is that you can kill Bruce Banner, but at night he turns into the Hulk, and that's undone. And he actually goes back after, and he remembers who killed him.
Does it matter what time zone he's in?
Who knows, man? I don't know.
Just kidding. I'm just.
I don't
like,
do
all
the
right.
books, man.
Yeah. All right. I mean, it sounds good. The Immortal Hulk. It kind of reminds me of the Immortal Hulk Hogan.
Oh.
I wonder if Hulk Hogan's going to be in this book.
Dude.
What if it's
That's
it's
a
Hulk
variant
Hogan?
cover waiting to happen.
There you go, dude. Hulk Hogan. It's just like. I was
You're
gonna
gonna
do
do
my
it.
Hulk Hogan impression. I couldn't get there, dude.
Every time I go to do a Hulk Hogan impression, I end up doing a Macho Man.
Macho Man. Yeah, it's different.
It's
Macho
like
Man is more like he can barely talk. Like, oh yeah, like you barely have any oxygen in your neck. Oh yeah. And then Hulk Hogan's like, hey brother, and he's just.
Oh, so I did have it right.
Yeah, you got it right.
All right.
Hulk Hogan's
I
just
was
like
second guessing myself.
is you just gotta wave your finger around and like you gotta do the Hulk up. You gotta Hulk up.
Hulk up, and then you just rip that shirt in half.
Just rip your shirt off, dude. Like the Hulk rips his pants off. Hulk Hogan rips off his shirt. That's
He
how
was
you do
my
it.
favorite wrestler when I was a kid, man. I actually tried to rip a shirt in half.
He was kind of like the go-to, like, oh, he's good, but was he everyone's favorite? No.
I don't know. Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior.
Yes. There you go. Those are like way better characters. They were
I
actually way better
Hogan,
characters. Man. Hulk Hogan, like, A, you're already balding. Like, like not that cool. And you just wear yellow. Like,
so you're saying bald men aren't cool?
Not when they have yellow, the blonde hair.
I just want to affirm you in this moment of self-doubt, Justin.
Bro.
I think you're cool.
I'm really cool, but I know that I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. So, anyways, back to the Immortal Hulk. I don't know if I'm super intrigued by this idea, but
all right,
I'll read yours. I'll read Matt Ritchie's too if that's how you want to make it happen.
And this is just like the first run of stuff, and so I almost forgot. We also have Avengers. I believe Jason Aaron is taking that over. He's been the writer for Thor for some time.
Oh, so
and
Jason Aaron
McGinnis though is doing the art.
I like Ed McGinnis. I don't mind.
We can talk about it in a minute.
Dude, like hold up. So Jason Aaron and freaking Scott Snyder were going at it last week on Twitter about like, oh, we need to do our Justice League Avengers team up story.
Oh, bro.
I don't know if that was a joke or not, but everyone was like commenting on it, like even their editors, and like, yeah, let's make this happen.
That's really funny. Yeah, dude.
Let's see.
There's enough stuff going on with the multiverse, I think, in both of those publishers' like worlds. Like, they could totally make this could be a time to do that.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Jason Aaron. Okay, do some Avengers. Hopefully it's good. I might even buy it. Like, I'm just curious. Yeah. I'm curious. I'm just curious enough to check out the first issue. I'm
going to be all about the No Justice and Justice League stuff at that point. So
yeah, we'll see.
I'll read yours.
Yeah, you can read mine, dude. See, we're taking care of each other. So, anyways,
anything else from Fresh Start that you wanted to get off your chest, man?
No,
other than
just
you hate it.
Make good comics, and
I'm still waiting for that Howard the Duck book, announcement.
Howard the Duck, dude, come on, Fresh Start, Howard the Duck. They're like, no, we're keeping the original numbering.
What else do you think is coming from this? Maybe that's kind of fun to.
Well, okay,
they got to do a Guardians book.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of wondering what's going on with Guardians. I feel like 150 came out like over a month ago, but maybe it's just a month ago. I'm like, what's going on? 150, 151, because they did that.
You're always like hot or cold, man. Like, it's every week. It's never coming out.
Yeah, it's never coming out. I'm like, where is it? I know. I want it to be monthly so bad, but I'm like, is it monthly? I don't know. I don't know the schedules on these books. I feel like Daredevil came out, and then it came out again. I was like, I thought it was like a monthly book. And
that's the thing about an ongoing book. It comes out more than once.
Yeah, but like, is it twice a month or once a month? So, yeah, I don't want Guardians to restart. Just go to 151 so I know. Yeah. Because I'm going to be looking for 151.
But I'm talking story-wise, like books that they're going to publish.
Obvious. I mean, yeah. Guardians, of course. Daredevil, of course.
Do you think keep doing Defenders?
Dude, no. This is like, I don't even know. I couldn't find a new issue. I was looking through previews the other day.
Yeah.
I think the newest issue is the last one. I think that's it.
Interesting. Okay.
And so we'll talk about that in a bit. But I'm just looking to good stories and good teams. Do a good team, and I'll do it. Give me a good angle, and I'll jump on. Again, Punisher. I'm not a huge Punisher guy. But you hit me when the show was on, and I was into it, and I was like, Punisher with the War Machine stuff?
What if he's the spirit of vengeance in space?
No, I don't care. The Black Panther thing seems super goofy to me, but I
like that idea.
But I think Coates is still doing
the Cosmic Ghost Rider thing sounds stupid to me.
Cosmic Ghost Rider. Oh, man. You know what's cool about Ghost Rider?
How can he do that at the same time?
Ghost Rider on a motorcycle. Pretty cool. It's still a cool idea. Like, dude.
In a muscle car?
One of the biggest shows, like, a couple years ago, Sons of Anarchy, right? Like.
Nowhere to be found.
Why are we not tapping into that, dude?
We'll just still let the Nicolas Cage movies be the thing that people remember about Ghost Rider.
Right. No, he was on S.H.I.E.L.D. like 2 years ago, remember?
No, this is last year, yeah.
Was it last year? He was the car.
That was the other version. Yeah, Robbie Rodriguez.
Yeah, just put Ghost Rider on a motorcycle. That's what's cool.
Johnny Blaze.
Like, dude, like when he's in a car, it's stupid. If he's in a spaceship, even more stupid. You want to see that hair.
It was like
you want to see that skull.
Motorcycle.
Like Lobo?
Yep.
Lobo's way cooler than Ghost Rider.
Oh, dang.
Now what?
That is,
what's up?
Ooh, those are strong words.
Hit me. At me on Twitter. Who's cooler, Lobo or Ghost Rider? Come on now.
I don't know
what
if
movie
I'm
is Michael
board.
Bay going to direct?
I don't know if I'm on board with that.
I'm going to ask people right now. I'm going to live tweet this. Just because, dude. Because I need to know.
Because live tweeting, that makes very exciting radio.
I need to know. Okay, we can move forward. But I'm just telling you.
So I think it's frustrating to see another, maybe not reboot, but new initiative and kind of like starting at number ones. But so far, man, most of the teams and the ideas they've announced, I'm at least like mildly interested in.
Really?
Which is to their credit, I think. Because the idea, when I saw they were doing it, was really annoying. But I don't know. The more I like kind of saw announcements coming out of who's doing books and what's coming up, I'm like, there are a few of those. Let's check it out.
Yeah. Just let me know what your release schedule is.
And we have a few months, until that kicks off, I think. Yeah. May and June, I think, are when those titles are going to start.
Yeah, I don't want to be like, I'm against it. I'm not against this. I'm just like, have a plan, Marvel. And your plan seems to be like, well, this didn't work. Just tell good stories. That's the same thing I said with New 52. Tell good stories. Have good teams.
Yep.
Then we'll buy it. We will buy a good story.
It's true.
Don't tell me some stories that suck. Anyways,
man,
here we go.
That is some good news.
That is some good news. That's a lot of news, a lot of information, and a lot of things that we went over. That Marvel stuff, man. I know that's been percolating for a couple of weeks, but it's time to move on, dude. All right, so let's get into some.
You want to smell some floppies?
Yeah, let's smell some floppies, dude. Smell those floppies, dude. It's time for the Smell Them Floppies theme song. Is what we
yeah. Oh, smell. Like a bumper.
I'm really smelling them, dude. Time to smell those floppies. I don't know. Think about it.
Yeah, it's all good.
By episode 50,
I'll pull that out and I'll like sample that. And it'll be good.
So I want to talk about Defenders, dude. It's the end. It's over.
So issue 10 came out last week?
Issue 10 came out last week. If you want to if you want to peruse, I got it. Yeah, it came out last week. And
yeah, I just barreled through these last three today.
I'm not really sure. Here's the thing. I don't follow previews so much as maybe I should. And I feel like this is the last issue of Defenders. It kind of ends on that note.
Okay.
And Matt, what are your thoughts on this last issue before I give you
last issue or the series as a whole? What do you want to hear about?
Series as a whole, and then let's move into that last issue, I guess.
The series as a whole is really incredible.
Yeah.
Like I felt multiple times over the course of reading these 10 issues, wishing that the show was more like this.
Yeah.
There was an amount of fun and action that I think they never quite reached with the Netflix show. The dialogue seemed like snappier and less like there was something about the dialogue even in the show that was like, it was good, but there's something that felt better in this.
Iron Fist.
Yeah, Iron Fist.
So much better.
So much better.
The last issue, it says the end. So
that's true. That's true.
Assuming, I don't know if it was the end for this team.
Hey, I can respect a story actually having an end.
But
the whole course of it. So here's the thing. Bendis knows how to write these diverse, like, kind of bench of characters, because not just the four main characters of Defenders, but all the supporting characters.
Yeah.
I was consistently impressed by that, and consistently like wowed by is it David Marquez?
Yeah.
David Marquez's art, both in the quality of it, but then also just like how dynamic and how I don't know, it had a lot of movement through it, and so the action in the book just seemed to really pop and make a lot of sense. And yeah,
I loved it, dude. Like it was one of those things. I'm like, I love Daredevil, and I was on the fence with Daredevil, like dropping Daredevil back and forth, which I never did. So I'm still stuck with it. Yeah. But I can't buy Jessica Jones. I can't buy Luke Cage. I can't buy Iron Fist's book. I just can't dump money on all of it. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go Defenders. Plus, I love freaking David Marquez's art, like since like All New X-Men to
dude,
when he was
so
jumping on,
good.
What was he on again? Civil War? A few issues of Civil War.
Did he do Civil War 2?
I think he was on Civil War 2 for a bit. Anyways, his art is so good. And then Brian Michael Bendis. I'm like, okay, so Bendis is going to be writing Daredevil again. Cool. let's do this. And I love it, dude. It was one of my favorite books.
Was Justin Panther the colorist for the whole run?
I think the whole run.
That's the other part that stood out to me. Specifically the use of like pinks and purples and stuff, and when they were used really, really well. And side note, I think there's is it a GoFundMe for Justin Panther, because he's had to, or either he or as a family member has had to undergo like some form of cancer treatment.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So,
oh dang, I didn't
Google
know
that. But really, really, really good work.
Yeah.
Consistently enjoyed myself reading this book.
Yeah. So that being said, I feel like issue 10 was rushed. I don't know if you felt that way.
I don't know if I would say rushed so much as abrupt, but maybe that's just two ways of saying the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't know what the heck was going on. It felt like, was this a continuation of issue 9? Because issue 9, like...
It was, but they cheated it a little bit.
Yeah, they totally cheated it. And all of a sudden you're like, the Hood. Who's this Hood guy? He's meeting with Kingpin. They're chatting.
Well, no, he was in issue 9.
Yeah, but it was...
And it set it up.
Very...
I think that is a through line. But you had all of these women superheroes coming together at the end of issue 9, and you're like, what the heck? This is so cool.
And
what
where
are they going to do?
Nowhere.
And then, boom, all of a sudden it's talking heads, and it's everybody narrating and saying, oh, you want to know what happened?
I really like that narration style. But
the narration style was great, but I feel like we almost missed an issue in between there where we actually saw all the action of what that group of women did.
And that's what it felt like, because you have this really cool meeting of the Hood and all the supervillains, and like, oh dang, so they're all kingpins, so they're creating this network of kingpins across like all the cities. I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. I hope this goes somewhere, because this is the end. Somebody pick up this thread, because I'm like, all right, someone tag team, work with David Marquez. I want him to stay on this book, because then you get this last like shot of the Defenders, but they're with Storm and Doctor Strange and like all the Spider-Mans, like Old Man Logan, Moon Knight, Misty Knight, Black Panther, even freaking Howard the Duck's there, White Tiger, like all these characters of the Night Nurse, they're all there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are they there? Like, why are all these characters there? Are they going to go fight all these people? Is there going to be an epic battle in the streets? I don't know, because it says the end, and I can't find any news about the Defenders. So I'm hoping that we get.
Wait a while.
I hope. What's Marvel's new initiative called?
Fresh Start.
Fresh Start, dude. Just give me some Fresh Start Defenders. That's all.
Fresh and easy.
Fresh and easy.
Fresh and easy. Rest in peace. Fresh and
easy.
So what would you rate? Defenders. Do you want to just do the series?
Yeah, series in general. I would just say it's a let's go. It's a really good book. If you're into those characters, I love Marvel's street level characters. I love Daredevil. He's like my favorite guy. But I love bringing like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist into it, just because the Power Man Iron Fist book really made me a fan of those characters.
Yeah,
the way like David Walker like handled those characters, I felt like this was true to them. Right,
bring David Walker back to write the Defenders.
Dude, Defender, yeah. It didn't feel like they were different characters. So like when I've read some of those,
it felt consistent.
It didn't feel like the same Danny Rand. You know,
really
doesn't feel like the same guy.
Oh, interesting.
I feel like this felt like the same Danny Rand. You know, this feels like the same Daredevil.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you're saying. You're saying in the Iron Fist book, it didn't feel like the same guy.
Not
but between Power Man and Iron Fist in this one, it feels the same.
Exactly.
I think there's absolutely more of a through line between those two books. I would agree.
Yeah. So I feel like, you know, and obviously like Bendis can write Jessica Jones and Daredevil. So, man,
he had a great handle on all of them. And without them all feeling like they all kind of homogenized into the same character. Mm-hmm. They all kept their specific personalities.
Yeah.
Which respect to Bendis for being able to keep those separate but still like unified in a way.
Yeah. So it was one of my favorite books of the last year, and I always looked forward to getting it. It was like, it wasn't like blowing me away in the sense that, oh man, I'm glad I'm getting Defenders, but I really enjoyed the book and I look forward to it, and I'm gonna miss these guys. I'm gonna miss these guys if they're not coming back, because I like reading Marvel comics when it's in the streets. I don't know what it is about it. I've always loved it.
I think that's a strength of their character stable. Mm-hmm. Like that area specifically, I think is a real strength for them.
Look at like Blade's there. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why is Blade there? what is going on? Now, he was in the book earlier in the run, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking, like,
and they started this interesting thing too in this issue, in this last issue with Black Cat, like saying, like, look, I just went through something traumatic, and I'm serious. Like, I want to be done being a bad guy.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting because she was definitely a bad guy through this book and Power Man and Iron Fist.
Yeah. So Cable's back there. Like, why is Cable there?
Why not?
David Marquez. Who else do you want to draw? So I'm gonna put Cable in there and Storm. So I don't know what's going on, dude. Is this the end? I don't know, but please go. It's only 10 issues. Go check it out. Hopefully they put it in like one big trade and sell it. It's a good book, and I want to see the Defenders come back because it's like they open up the Heroes for Hire again, and they're like, let's do this.
There's a lot of really good things that are set up at the end of this last issue.
Someone jump on there.
I mean, that was my thought. As soon as I saw them set back up Heroes for Hire, I was like, oh,
yeah.
I wonder if that'll be the book.
Yeah.
They let Defenders kind of have its space because Bendis is gone.
Yeah.
And then they do Heroes for Hire, and then you can have some of the other characters like guest star, you know?
Yeah.
Should be interesting, man. Should be interesting.
So let's jump in to the Terrifics.
All right. The New Age of Heroes from DC.
Yeah.
Terrifics number 1. It's an interesting thing when you first look at this. Who's got top billing on that cover there, Justin?
Mr. Terrific. It's called the Terrifics.
I mean, in the list of the creative team, but, you know, that's fine.
Oh, that is interesting. So
Yvonne Rice.
So the artist first over the writer. That's weird.
Interesting, right?
It's really weird, huh?
And is that Prado under Lemire? Is that like as in like Joe Prado?
No, that is. Oh gosh, it's the inker. Maybe it is Joe Prado. I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
of the other
Joe Prado is the inker. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I recognize that.
Yeah, so I mean, he's kind of a house DC inker, so he works with a lot of those cats.
Yeah, I just feel like I see his name a lot.
So,
but man, Jeff Lemire.
I hear both, so whatever. Lemire.
Man,
you say funny. Lemire, I say Lemire. So
Lemire. So that's creative team spinning out of Dark Knight's Metal, which
it's not
hasn't finished yet.
It's not. It's still going on.
So that's interesting.
Yeah,
but I don't feel like they really necessarily spoil anything. What would you say before we get into the details of this? You would rate this book, Justin?
Yeah, this is definitely DC's Fantastic Four type of situation. I like all of these characters. A Phantom Lady. I'm not super like well versed on her. I know that's not what she usually looks like. She usually looks like she's wearing a green cape and like a yellow like small little dainty outfit and some like goggles, and that's a different look for her. She almost looks like Ace from Royal Flush Gang from Batman Beyond / Justice League.
I can kind of see that.
But yeah, I was really. This is the one book of that whole new DC
New Age of Heroes,
Dark Matter or whatever. Is that what they're calling it? Dark Matter or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
This is the only book that looked fun to me because I like Plastic Man. I like Mr. Terrific. I like Metamorpho. Phantom Girl. Okay, we'll see what happens with her. But I'm curious as to what they're doing with this, and I like it. I like the concept. I like traveling through the different Dark Matter universes. So that seems like it's going to be kind of a fun adventure, but mostly because of the personalities. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man. For me, just overall, the story didn't blow me away to where, oh man, I gotta find out what's going on with this book. But I think I like the characters enough that I'll follow them.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. What pulled me in, man, is Plastic Man. Like I just felt like I was like a kid again.
He's fun.
Like, and I was like, oh gosh, the characterization is like perfect. For him. Design is great. The little like gags of like what he does and how he like forms himself and shapes himself. Yeah, it seems like perfect Plastic Man. And what's really great is I feel like it's showing part of Rice's range that we don't see a lot. Like I've seen him a lot of like Green Lantern or Has he done Batman? I feel like I've seen him do Batman.
Just through Justice League.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
But I mean, like I've seen him do those things, and to see him do the kind of exaggerated expressions and shapes and stuff for Plastic Man was really cool. And I think it looked really great, and I think worked really well. And I think for the most part, the dialogue and the story was fine. Except for like, man, Mr. Terrific just seemed like a real stick in the mud to me.
Yeah, they need to give him a personality. It's funny, like he's not the terrible Arrow version, but he doesn't have,
because he's just kind of like bumbling.
Yeah, he's just kind of boring here. And
he just seems like a receptacle of information.
Yeah,
like that's what this Mr. Terrific seems like.
You are a receptacle of information.
It's like you push a button and information comes out. Like that seems like the purpose he serves.
Yeah.
And I get you need to have some degree of exposition in a new book like this that's spinning out of an event that you know what I mean? Like you need to set some context for people. But it's like, man, they went really heavy into him explaining literally everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was not my favorite.
Yeah. So the ending, spoiler, like seriously, huge spoiler right here. Like, so if you don't want to know, like, tune up for a second. So Tom Strong showing up. It's kind of a big deal. Do you know who Tom Strong is?
Tom Strong, was he part of the Challengers of the Unknown?
No. Tom Strong is an Alan Moore character they made through America's Best Comics. It was an imprint that DC did late 90s, early 2000s.
Guys, I'm learning right now.
Yeah. So Tom Strong was this kind of adventure, pulpy type of hero. And I did not know he was coming up in this comic book. So I was like, what? But then I remember, like, I feel like I read that somewhere. And then it became like a deja vu, or it came like a, did I know this? But I wasn't expecting it when I read. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, so that right there makes me like curious. Like, so they're going through this multiverse. So DC obviously has the rights to do all this stuff. So I'm curious where they're going. So they might be encountering a whole bunch of different characters that may have been a part of imprints or things like that. So
that could be an interesting way to bring in other characters that are really kind of on the outside, you know?
Yeah. So like right now, I'm excited to see it. Again, I like these characters. I want, kind of like with the Defenders, like, I just want to see all these characters hang out and see where they go. So could be a fun thing. And here's like Jeff Lemire done good stuff. I like most of the things I've read by him. I've been into, and so let's see some more. And I really hope that Ivan Rice stays, because he's
really good, man.
I mean, his art is so good, and I know it takes a lot to do stuff like this. And so please stay on the team, everybody.
I want to see him draw weirder stuff. Like, I think this taste of like seeing him draw Plastic Man, to draw a giant like celestial corpse. You know what I mean? Of like right. I'm like, cool. Like, I want to see him do.
This is not good.
Kind of some crazier stuff.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's going to be a good vehicle for that, both story-wise and art-wise.
Well,
like it's kind of like high adventure.
You got crazy shapeshifter with Plastic Man, and even more crazy shapeshifter with Metamorpho, who can also shapeshift.
Right. But specifically for like elements and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah, but he can still like change his body like mass and into different shapes. And so yeah, man, let's see it happen and get away from. It feels like with this Dark Matter, they're doing a lot of this like Marvel aping with this really Fantastic Four.
Man.
And what's the Spider-Man guy?
Yeah, it's like a Spider-Man kind of knockoff.
They have a Punisher.
It's like a Punisher knockoff. The Silencer.
Yeah, the Silencer. Oh gosh, and then there's
like a Hulk, like
a
one
too. Oh, there's that. Oh yeah, there's
like a Hulk one. Damage.
Yeah. So, which has nothing to do with Damage from the early DC. Like
yeah,
because they have a Damage character they created in the '90s that they made like part of the JSA, and I think he was part of like the Atom. Not like Ray Palmer Atom, but the other Atom. Anyways,
it'll be interesting to see if they can make these things their own.
Yeah. So right now, I'm going to give this book a go. It's not a let's go by any means, but it's a go. And like, man, go check it out if you're at least remotely curious about some of these characters. Hopefully, it becomes like a let's go. But thanks DC, like they didn't have to like rename the whole line to do this. They did call it the Dark Matter thing, but just DC, dude. It's the Terrifics, number one.
Adding a new story to something that's already ongoing.
Hey, there we go. Taking a little dig at Marvel. So I like that book though. So
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I'm gonna get issue 2. I'm gonna read it, and it's gonna be a good time in my comic time. So, and it was not, I'm trying. I know it's not an indie or anything like that, but I'm trying to read stuff that's not Batman. We made a very conscious,
and we're
effort
trying
today.
to talk about stuff that's not
Batman. So, so going back to Marvel, I wanted to talk about Daredevil because I've been buying it consistently, and we're at $5.99. Next issue is going to be like the 600th issue, and they've been doing this Mayor Fisk thing where Kingpin is the mayor of New York right now. So as you've read the Defenders, you kind of get this thing like, oh, he's not the mayor, he's not the Kingpin, he's the mayor. And so Matt Murdock is on his staff, and he's I forget his role, but he's like working with him. Like Kingpin's trying to keep him busy because he knows that there's connections between Matt Murdock and Daredevil, but he doesn't know he's Daredevil. And it's been a really cool story, and I think the last like 6 issues of Daredevil have been really good.
Cool.
And I would say it's a let's go. Just check out Daredevil. Charles Soule is doing a good little story on there, and it's, for me, Daredevil is really hard to join that club of like the Frank Miller and then the Brian Michael Bendis and then the Ed Brubaker, like all that stuff these guys did. Like, man, to be in that club, you have to really impress me. I didn't like the Mark Waid stuff that much. Like, it was good, but it wasn't the Daredevil I wanted. Like,
I liked that take on it.
Yeah, it
definitely was different.
Yeah, it definitely was different. I like him being
that Paulo Rivera art though too is
that's a whole different thing.
Part of that. Whew.
Yeah, I just like a little bit gritty Daredevil.
Yeah,
I like the grit, and so I like what they're doing there. It's such a cool take with what's going on, and there is a little bit of back to basics going on with Foggy and Matt. And so anyways, I don't want to give too much of it away, because if I talk, there is some things that are very spoilery in the sense of like what's happening. So check out Daredevil. It's good. It's one of those good Marvel books. I feel like it's again, with the whole Defenders line of stuff, like I'm just gonna get Daredevil because he's my Marvel guy.
Yeah,
he's my Marvel guy. It's fun, and of all the Marvel books I get, I feel like I buy the best Marvel books.
Whoa.
I don't know.
Only the best for Justin.
Only the best. I feel like Punisher, Daredevil, Guardians, and Defenders are the best that Marvel's putting out, because it's a little bit of everything. You got your street level. You got your freaking your super. Well, that's all street level. It's probably all the street level stuff. Punisher, except Guardians.
No bias at all.
Yeah, no bias at all. But then Guardians is just wacky, dude. So anyway, there you go. I'm giving Daredevil a let's go. Please check out Daredevil, and I'm excited for issue 600. Hopefully,
sweet.
It goes to 601 and not like new number one. Because I'm like, dude, how many Daredevil number ones do I need? 5?
Apparently, you need a lot of them.
I need 5 of them, I guess, right? So, okay. So we're going to wrap the show up soon. We're going to get some listener questions really quick. So Rob Myers from the Everyone Loves the Drake podcast says, great show, as always, guys. He loved episode 44. Loved it.
Nice.
So he said,
I don't even remember.
He's like, what was on that episode? But he said, it's question time. So every Wednesday you talk about the new comics you bought, like we just did. And he says, I love New Comic Book Day, but what about Old Comic Book Day? What about Old Comic Book Day, Matt Ritchie?
What about Old Comic Book Day?
He says, as much as I love getting new comics, I'm always going out to local shops and conventions and garage sales and comic shops looking for the old floppies. He says, I think that sounds bad, but I'm going to roll with it. Not going to lie. I love the smell of old comics. Do you guys buy old comics to fill holes or say, hey, man, I've always wanted to have XYZ? For me, this past week, I bought the Batman Treasury Edition. An oversized comic that collects Neil Adams and Danny O'Neill's Ra's al Ghul run. I paid $30 for this at half prices books. It's a thing of beauty circa 1977. What are your thoughts on buying or collecting older issues? Keep up the great work, guys. Yeah, I mean, when I go to the local shop, I don't typically buy like old school back issues. I think I kind of have everything that I want. The only thing I really like, if I'm going to look, I kind of have this obsession with getting every Batman issue that I can. And I give myself these goals like, okay, I need everything till 400. And then somebody bought me like Batman 350. I'm like, dang it. And so now I need to like get everything from Batman 350 and on. And so I don't obsessively look, but I do like going to like estate sales. Anytime my wife's all, let's go to an estate sale. If they have comics, I'll look. And that's where I usually buy my older comics.
That's awesome.
Remember, like, I think I went not too long ago and I like scored like just a buttload of cool stuff. Like I got most of the original Watchmen issues and like Cosmic Odyssey, tons of old like weird like horror Marvel comics for like $20.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. What do you think, dude?
I've done it at conventions and stuff to fill in, like runs that I've had. I've actually sent like that to like if Justin makes it someplace and I'm not going to be, I'm like, hey man, like fine, like Detective Comics, this through this, or
sorry man, I didn't look.
Flash issue, dude. Whatever, you didn't do anything. So I think that's usually what I'll do mine for. It just really honestly comes down to the amount of time I have to read books and the amount of money I have to spend on them, like budget wise.
Yeah.
So weekly, I don't usually do that, but definitely if we're going to someplace special, like a place that we, do you know what I mean? Like if you're traveling to a shop that's like supposed to be really great and like known for their back issues, or going to like a con or something like that, I'll definitely spend a good chunk of time picking through books and seeing like what, strikes my fancy.
Yeah. I will say the smell of old comics is amazing. I love that smell.
It's pretty great.
It's like a magical smell. It's like it takes you to a new dimension, to a new multiverse. It's that smell. It does smell good. And Rob, you're right. Sometimes those old floppies smell the best. Just smell them old floppies.
Going to cons looking for those old floppies.
Hey, you guys got any old floppies around here? You take a sniff.
That's all we got.
Oh man, that's all we got. Yeah. Yeah, they do smell good. But I need to take a picture because I have so many old comics in like my garage and like my little storage area. I don't know what to do. It's almost like this. It is kind of this weird obsession because I always tell my wife, babe, I'm going to sell them. I'm going to sell these ones. They're just there, dude, stacking and running out of room. And I don't know what to do with them. So if anybody wants a whole bunch of like John Byrne Fantastic Four, I got them. Hit me up. I'll give them to you for a good price. But yeah, only old comics I'm looking for is like Daredevil and Batman. So everything else, I don't care too much. I'll get it digitally if I need to write. I know that sounds sacrilegious, but that's what I want a full run of Daredevil and a full run of Batman. That's all I want. So there we go.
That's all we want in life,
Yeah, but that's a good question though. Like there is something about them old comics, and you know it. I hope to one day get more into some of the wall books. Like I like kind of having the history. It is pretty expensive, and like it's for me, it's hard to justify dropping like more than $15 on a comic sometimes, even if it is the first appearance or whatever. But I do follow like some like Facebook groups, and people are posting things. Like I saw a guy yesterday who got the first appearance of Jason Todd. It was like the pre-crisis version, and he got it for like $15. I'm like, that's cool. Yeah. Like to me, that's like, oh, that was a good deal. Like I would jump on that because I know this historically, and then the cover was really awesome. It was, I forget the artist on it, but it was a really cool Joker and Batman like shot that they kind of used in a lot of the 1980s promo art all over the place. But anyways, good question. And I love old comics. So smell the old floppies, right, Matt? That's what we say here.
I don't know.
Smell the old. Matt's very uncomfortable. And so our final question is from Jim Bob Squarepants at Vintage GT on Twitter. And he said, anyone read many Thor comics? What arcs, trades, eras, artists, writers are the best that you're aware of, if any? Thanks, guys. So, yeah, man, I'm not a huge Thor like comic book reader, but I will tell you one of the runs I did read is the J. Michael Straczynski run. Was really good. It was right when Thor came back after he died after like Civil War and all that stuff. So he came back and he merged back with Donald Blake. So that was a good run. I know they have like an omnibus of that, so I would check that out.
Oh, nice.
And then, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Simonson run he did it from like 1983 to probably like 1988. And I think he jumped on in the 90s as well, but his run is like the legendary run. So if you ever like want some great like Thor, check out the Walt Simonson. Again, Marvel's done a good job at collecting all of the Thor stuff. And I also like get Jack Kirby Thor. Like, there you go. Like, the guy who kind of started it all. I mean, sometimes it's hard to read the older stuff if you haven't been exposed to it before, but it's really fun and goofy, and, it's Jack Kirby art and Stan Lee, and, at least read a few of those things. If you haven't read any of that stuff, like, come on, treat yourself. Jump onto the Rainbow Road and go and visit Asgard, dude. Asperg.
Rainbow Road.
But yeah, and then you know what? I read a couple of issues of the Jason Aaron run too, where it was kind of bouncing between the three eras of like pre.
There's like the Mighty Thor. No, that's the one with Jane Foster.
Yeah, I forget what it was called, dude. I think it was just like Thor, the God of Thunder, or something like that. But yeah, check out the Jason Aaron run.
I heard good things about that one.
It was really good. I think I read like 6 issues of it through the Marvel Unlimited app. So yeah, so there's those are my recommendations: Straczynski, Jason Aaron, and then dip in and out of Kirby, and dip in and out of the Walt Simonson stuff if you can. So thanks, man. Thanks for listening, and thanks for asking the question. But right now, Matt, I got to ask you one question.
Ask away.
How can people find you on the internet if they wanted to ask you a question? What could they say?
Well, I mean, Google search, like, kind of do that for any of us.
Don't Google search. Don't Google search me.
Don't click on that images tab. No, it's at Matt Ritchie, MatTRCHEY on Twitter.
Yeah, and you can find me at J_Rocca on Twitter, JRocca on Instagram. And you can find the show at Let's Go Comic Show on Twitter and Instagram. You can go to our website at www.letsgocast.com, where you can check out this show and the Let's Go podcast with the Start Today podcast featuring Eric and Mike. Also, we would love for you to buy some Let's Go merch. So go to the merch tab at our website and buy some stuff. And when you do that, all proceeds go to help the show. And if you're into helping the show out, please consider being a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/letsgocast and you can sign up and be a part of the show, helping us out. And we want to give you some rewards. I actually got some buttons coming, Matt.
Ooh, oh, no way.
What? Yeah, so if you sign up, you can get some buttons, man. I'll send a button to anybody who signs up. So we got a whole bunch of that stuff coming, so I would love to send some stuff to you. So join our Patreon at patreon.com/letsgocast. So that would be fun. Also, I know that not everybody has deep pockets like Matt Ritchie. So here's what I'll tell you. You can go to iTunes. You can go to the podcast store and leave us a 5-star review. Please, if you're listening to this, go, okay, fine. I'm finally going to do it. We've been asking every episode. We need you to give us a little bit of love in the listener review store. So do 5 stars.
Yes.
And a great, and a positive comment. Say something really nice. Say something nice about Matt.
Say something nice about Justin.
Say something nice about me too, but just say something nice and say, hey, everybody listen to this. And then that will make us very, very happy. So that being said, that's the end of this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Good show. So,
I feel so.
Thanks for listening. And my name is Justin.
I'm Matt.
Let's go.
Let's go.